So, as a certified Australian born and bred, I thought it would be kind of interesting to look at 11 things not to do in Australia. Must see before you go. Because I want to see what they have to say if they're Australian and what they actually think. And I can have my input and give you extra information that they may leave out, because this is only 6 minutes to get through 11 points. So, without further ado, say hi to Twitch chat, say hi to YouTube frogs, and let's get started.
Australia is many things. It's a continent that makes up the 6th largest country in the world, and is home to some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet. And no, I'm not just talking about Australians. With a little over 8.5 million people visiting each year, tourism is a huge part of Australia's economy.
I hate how true he is, but unfortunately all that tourism is located in two cities, Sydney and Melbourne. And nobody likes Melbourne.
That being said, there are a number of things to look out for when you're there, so let's get right into it.
Let's see what your points are. I knew it was gonna show Sydney Opera House. I fucking knew it.
Number one,
always Sydney.
Don't stray from the path. With over 66 different venomous species, which is the 3rd largest concentration in the world, by the way, it's important to know where you are at all times. Now, this is especially true if you plan on trekking or camping in the outback, with things like the common brown snake, box jellyfish, and crocodiles. There's no shortage of dangerous animals here, so it's important that you stay on the path when you're exploring. And that goes for warning signs as well, because while it may seem funny to some people from different countries, here they're very real and should be taken seriously.
As all warning signs should, I would imagine. Is he moving on to point 2 already? Okay, if he's moving on to point 2, I'm going to put in some words. So, don't stray from the path. Yeah, sure. You can. It's not like you're going to get shot or immediately run into a fucking, I don't know, a cassowary and get yourself disemboweled. It's like, yeah, we have a lot of dangerous animals over in Australia. But you want to know how many of the ones that he just listed I've ever seen? 0. I've seen none of them. I have only ever seen what did I see? Like a regular house snake in my backyard and some huntsmans in my house. That's all I've ever seen. So it's not like you're going to die if you stray off the path. Hell, there is a whole outdoor activity where people just go camping in the middle of nowhere. Bumfuck nowhere, and they go 4-wheel driving in the mountains that don't have paths, or they have lightly treaded paths. You can, if there's a sign, however, saying, do not go here, or there is something dangerous here, yeah, fucking listen to it, because there's a reason those signs are up. You may not see one yourself, but do you really want to take the chance with an Australian animal? You really want to test your chances with drop bears? So, yeah, stick to paths as you generally should, but you're not beholden to it. You still can, you just have to be careful, as with anywhere. Koalas, dumbest fucking animal on the planet. A wallaby? I think
Number 2, don't underestimate the cost. Australia is known for having one of the highest living costs in the world, and traveling there is no different. Now, of course, this is all subjective depending on where you go and where you're from, but it still might surprise you to hear that a beer costs around $9 Australian dollars.
That sounds
and a meal
right.
at a mid-range restaurant costs around 40. Now, all in all, if you're really trying to save money, you can get it down to around 100 Australian dollars per day. And I'll just throw that number out there as an average. But
I was gonna say, that's really high.
Food and lodging, the prices can get a bit expensive. So it's important that you price out your trip accordingly.
Okay, I can add to that as well. So the main point there he was talking about was food. So when it comes to our restaurants over in Australia, we actually pay our fucking employees. That's why. And we have a higher minimum wage than a lot of other countries. So our costs, naturally, are a little bit higher. Granted, again, have a pretty high cost of living over there. But we actually pay our employees, and we have tax included. Granted, he's American. He doesn't have tax included. When he goes out to eat, he doesn't have tips or any extra costs included. So when he say, I don't know, eating out at a restaurant, and it's, I don't know, $14 for a schnitzel and chips. Over here, it's more like $26 for a schnitzel and chips over here. But the reason it's that price is because there's no such thing as tipping. We do not tip. I mean, you can. No one's going to say no. But that's usually like I really liked your service. Here's $20 extra. Like, it's not expected. Because you have a minimum wage and you have to stick to that legally. That is the minimum required pay. If you pay anything less than that, you can be fined and sued and put in jail. So we have naturally higher costs. And again, tax being included means any prices look naturally higher. So a can of Coke in America may cost $3 Australian, but over here, in Australia, it's $5 because we have that GST included, making anything look a little bit more expensive. But in reality, it's those hidden costs you'd see in America have been essentially unhidden. You see them. And you can equate for those costs quicker and easier in your head. Because one thing I fear if I ever go to the US is I want to buy something, don't calculate in tax, and I fuck myself. Especially because a lot of states in the US, from what I'm aware, have different service taxes or service tax rates or something like that. They have different GST. And that is, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how Americans live without having GST included. Are people rich? Please don't me death. I don't want to be. I can't. I can barely sustain myself. Like, yeah, prices are high, but they're high for a reason. And when it comes to dining out, which, by the way, Aussie culture, you don't go out to eat unless it's a special occasion. We don't eat out that often. It's not a common... At least I never did. But Aussies don't dine out very often. We buy our food and cook it ourselves because it's expensive to go out because it's meant for special occasions. Of course, there's fast food and people go out to eat fast food however often they want. But generally speaking, restaurants are for some form of occasion. So we eat at home. I know in America that's not necessarily the case, and eating out is at times cheaper. Yeah, exactly, Potato. It is the same thing when I was growing up. It's for birthdays or some sort of occasion, and that's it. And again, naturally higher prices because of things like that. And I can understand where it's coming from, but I'm giving the other side of things is basically what I'm trying to do. So I hope that this clears up some of the things and the reasons why, so it doesn't seem as scary and daunting. Because hearing everything is way more expensive... Yeah, but there's a reason why.
Number 3, and this is a short one. Don't say shrimp on the Barbie. Now, this phrase was popularized by a 1980s ad with Paul Hogan, who was later in Crocodile Dundee.
It's an American thing.
Tourism Commission to try to bring in international travelers. But this is absolutely not what an Australian would say. If they would even use that phrase at all, they would say prawn, not shrimp.
Yep.
So don't make it more annoying than it already is.
Yep. If someone came up to me and went, "Hey, chuck some shrimp on the Barbie," I would be fucking annoyed. Because one, that is an American ad. That was not Australian. It was a way to try and get Americans to Australia, but that was it. And we don't even use the word shrimp. That is a British thing. It's prawns. And we don't even say chuck it on the Barbie. Granted, we call barbecue a Barbie, of course. But if we're talking about a function barbecue, it's called a barbecue. We only call the actual barbecue itself a Barbie. Even then, I barely fucking heard that. God, look at that fucking light pollution. You can't even see the stars. Ugh.
Number 4, drinking in Australia. Now for
this one I probably can't talk on.
Major cities, specifically Sydney, so don't quote me on the rest of the country. But in Sydney, you can't get a beer after 1:30 in the morning because they have something called a lockout law, which means no one is allowed in or out of bars past that point in time. And their last call is at 3 in the morning.
Well,
and of
no
course,
one in, not
don't
out.
drink and try and drive because they have one of the lowest blood alcohol content levels, 0.05, before you can be arrested.
Yep.
And last but not least, don't order Foster's beer. That's not an Australian thing. That's an American thing. Instead, try and order a bottle of Bundaberg. My Aussie friends will know why I'm laughing.
Yes, Bundaberg, not Foster, and definitely not VB. Fucking VB. Nobody likes VB. Fucking VB, long neck. Yeah, so with that, of course, he's right with that. A lot of places tend to cut off at a certain time because drinking is a social thing and it's not a getting plastered thing. Granted, a lot of people still get plastered, especially young people getting plastered. Extra addition on top of that, if you are getting your license, the blood alcohol limit, if you don't have a full open license, is 0. You are not allowed to drink at all if you are learning to drive. If you're on L plates, green peas, or red peas, you can't have any alcohol in your blood. On top of everything, even if we have a lower BAC limit for breath tests in Australia, we also have standard RBTs, random breath tests, all over the country on typically Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, which are the main drinking days. Yeah, Thursdays. Yeah, weird, right? But so Thursday, Friday, Saturday are considered basically night out days. And very often you'll find in cities or major drinking areas, the police will set up what is known as the RBT van or RBT stops, where they'll just randomly hail someone over, a driver, and stop to do an RBT, random breath test, pull out the breathalyzer, wait here a moment, get the reading, send them on their way, if, they pass. And if they don't, come in for a second test, do the second test because it's a little bit more accurate, and then you either go on your way or you get taken in. It's that simple. It is a law that they are allowed to do it, so I don't need any Americans getting in the comments like, "Buh, that's violating human rights. But yeah, we have different rights over in Australia than you do over in America. I've seen it everywhere. It really fucking annoys me. Just shut up. It's part of the law. It takes 5 minutes, and if you do nothing wrong, you can just go on your way. And there are so many charts plastered everywhere in the country that have like amounts you can drink before you hit the legal limit of like the different levels of alcohol. So it's not hard to do the right thing. And even then, there's very much a buddy culture in Australia. Oh, you're too drunk? I can help you. Please don't get up in the comments about, oh, that's such an infringement on my rights. I did nothing wrong, whatever. It's just a thing the police do because they can, and it's to keep the roads safe. If you're driving drunk, you're a huge piece of shit, and they will catch you for it. That's why the RBTs are set up. Anyway, let's see what number 5 is.
Don't underestimate its size. Australia is a country with about 25 million people. And because it's a continent, it's made up of almost 7.6 million square kilometers. And despite the fact that the majority of its population is clustered around the coasts, in urban areas, it still means that as a tourist, it's going to take a long time to get from place to place. So it's important to take a look at exactly how long it's going to take you to complete your
If you want to go from Melbourne to Brisbane, you don't drive.
Number 6.
You fly.
Don't always tip.
Okay, we'll get back to that one in a minute. But so from Victoria to Brisbane, or to Sydney even, you fly. A flight from Victoria to Brisbane is about a 12-hour flight. It's not short. To go from Brisbane to Perth, which is the other major city on the other side of the country, it's, I think, about a 26-hour flight. Or maybe, I think it's actually a double stop. You go to Darwin, and you get a connecting flight from Darwin to Perth, because it's such a long fucking way. Australia is huge. The reason it doesn't look or sound that big is because, as he said, around the borders. W Pigeon. It is fair to be mildly inconvenienced for the sake of your safety and others' safety. Exactly. Thank you, Tug. It's totally fine if it's to keep others safe. And again, if you're driving drunk, you're a piece of shit. You shouldn't be driving. You shouldn't have a license to begin with. But yeah, a lot of people tend to underestimate the size of Australia because it's actually way fucking bigger than it actually is. Let me bring up a website because I know a good website for this. Okay, so this is True Size Of, which lets you sort of compare the actual size of countries to each other relative to their actual size, so you can get a proper idea of how big they are. Because flat like this, they have to stretch things out to make them fit. So if I bring this up over China, it makes a lot of sense. Over Russia, makes even more sense. Russia's really fucking big. But then we bring it over to the US. I've always said that Australia is bigger, if not roughly the same size as the US. It's huge. We do United States. 3.74 million square miles compared to Australia's 2.69. I already forgot what the United States is. Yeah, it's like, oh right, because of Alaska. Look, we don't count Alaska. I wish I could cut off Alaska, because that fucking skews us so heavily. If Alaska wasn't there, it'd be way different. Look, when we're talking about the United States, generally, we're talking about Maine coast. And there's Hawaii down here as well. Oh god, that looks so weird. Where's Venezuela? Oh, there's Venezuela. Yeah, I think we're bigger than Venezuela, Tug. Just a little bit. I should know, the reason I'm talking mostly about or referencing America, talking about America, comparing to America, is because a large majority of my audience is American, and it's the best point of reference because a lot of people know American stuff. So I figure it's probably the best starting point, even though I know I still have a mixed audience. For instance, Tug is Venezuelan. Sorry. Anyway, don't tip, right, is what he said?
Number 6. Don't always tip. Now, unlike some countries, tipping isn't required in Australia. And that's mainly because their minimum wage is the highest in the world.
That's not true.
$8.93 an hour. Now, in places
one
like
of the
US,
highest.
Waitstaff require tips to earn a living wage, because the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. Now, if you have great service, for sure you should tip the person. All I'm saying is you won't be scorned like in the US if you don't.
Yeah. I'm not going to add on to that. I already talked about it.
Number 7.
Don't need to tip.
Don't rely on public transport. Now, because Australia is so big and so spread out, public transport is difficult to find outside major cities.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Europe where you can take a train to a small town, hop off, and then hop onto another train to another small town. Australia is just too big for that to be feasible. So you're better off finding other ways to get around.
Okay, he is right about that, but if you're in a city, which, let's be real, if you're traveling to Australia, you're going to be in a city, the public transit in the cities is pretty good. Last time I checked, over in Australia, in Brisbane, the current cost for trains from one side of the city to the other is 50 cents. And that's it. It costs 50 cents to go from one side of the state to the other, kind of. Let me bring up the Brisbane train line. Okay, so this is TransLink. If we want to go from, let's say, Gold Coast. Yeah, Gold Coast, Queensland to Sunshine Coast, which is literally the opposite side. Here we go. A country where what? Where paying your workers is required by law? Yeah, exactly. I don't get it. Of course, you'd have a direct ride to most places of the time. Surely you'll need to change, right? Oh, sometimes, yeah. Like, you need to get off from one place to another, but this is, I believe, the longest route from one station to one from... Like, it's the very end of both sides. This is the longest distance. It takes... it takes 5 hours to go. And, 4 hours, 50 minutes. Up here, 50 cents. What's the cost? 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. To go 4 hours. How many kilometers? That is a good question. I don't think it says. Yeah, it does not say. It only says times. Hold on. Let me go to Google Maps. Here we go. It is about 175 kilometers to go. It's a 5-hour train ride, and it costs 50 cents. That's pretty good, isn't it? For the public transit. I don't know what it's like in Sydney or Perth or Darwin or any of the other city-states. But Brisbane, I was pretty familiar with because I lived there for quite a while. So it's pretty... I didn't realize that the 50 cent thing was still going there. That's been going for a while. But yeah, being able to go across that much distance for 50 cents is really good. But as I said, if you're going outside the cities, it can be a little difficult. But again, if you're traveling as a tourist, you're generally not leaving the city, I would imagine. And if you are, I imagine you have like an Uber or hired transport of some sort. So yeah, that was the main point I wanted to get across.
Number 8. Don't talk about immigration. Now forgive me if I have to generalize a bit in order to get the point across. But for the most part, many Australians dislike the way that the government handles immigration, whether they're anti-immigration or whether they're disgusted by the way the government handles refugees. Of course, there's all the people in between. But the bottom line is that immigration is a big deal in Australia, and it's easier to avoid the topic.
Yeah, I'll touch on it briefly because it's like politics and I don't really want to get into it, but the gist of it is basically over in Australia, there are very, for lack of a better term, relaxed immigration laws, and people that immigrate into Australia get a lot of help from the government to settle in. And there are a lot of people that are not very happy about that because some see it as too much aid. I'm not going to give my opinion one way or the other, but I'm trying to get across the general idea. Some people, they think they give too much aid. Some people think they don't. Some people think that they need to send everyone home. And some people think that, no, we should let people in, fucking duh. It's a bit of a mixed issue, but generally, yeah, don't go giving out political talks, especially if you're a tourist like this guy clearly is. You can tell because it's an American accent. Give my opinion? No. Moving on.
Number 9. Don't take anything personally. Now, Australians always seem to be joking around.
Yeah.
And insults are one of the ways that they do that. But don't make the mistake of thinking they mean anything by it. There's a funny saying where you know that an Australian doesn't like you if they don't insult you. Because it means that they actually think there's something wrong with you and that it'll offend you. Go figure. So take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, if you fall over and an Aussie says, "Oh, nice balance, mate," they're making fun of you, but they're just being silly. But if you're being a prick and you get hurt or they don't like you, they're gonna be a little bit more like, "You alright?" Looking chat threw me off what I was saying. But most of the time, it's like your typical like friend bullying. So if it's, just a simple insult that's played off with a joke, or it's very like in passing, or like you're wearing a hoodie inside out, it's like, "Nice shirt, mate," or a shirt inside out, "Nice shirt, mate," and you look down, you realize you fucked it up, and the Aussie is clearly giving a smile. They're just messing around, trying to help you a little bit, but also just being silly. Generally, it's pretty much an everywhere thing, but I think generally Aussies are a little bit more like mean, like bantery a little bit than other countries, but nah, everyone does it, from what I understand.
Number 10. Don't be afraid to say hello. Australians have a pretty well-deserved reputation for being laid back. And like I was talking about before with the kidding around, they're good at taking things in stride, which makes it easy as a tourist to make friends. And talking to people is a must.
Oh, is that a footy game? Hey, it's NRL. I know where everyone. He went to Queensland. Yeah, if you're walking by someone and go, "Sup, mate?" They're gonna go, "Sup, mate?" Yeah, that's simple as that. Really don't give a fuck. Just be nice and you'll get niceness in turn. Simple as that.
Last but not least, number 11. Make sure you enjoy Australia. Australia is such a cool place with so many fun and interesting people. And there's so much to do there. It's important to keep in mind that these are all general guidelines and tips that I find out while I was there. And I'm sure you'll have a fantastic time while you're there.
My personal tip Actually, I'm probably not gonna yap for the rest of it. My personal tip is wear sunscreen, slip, slop, slap, and slide. So, slip into, was it slip? Fuck, I don't remember slip, slop, slap, and slide. Hold on, it's been so long. Let me bring it up. Seek and slide. So, slip, slop, slap, sleek, and slide is an Australian thing as a way to, because in Australia, if really intense sun, like it's always a danger for skin cancer and sunburns. But yeah, slip on a shirt, slop on some sunscreen, slap on a hat, seek some shelter, and slide on some sunglasses. It's basically, those are the ways to keep yourself safe from the sun. That is the biggest thing. I mean, look, check for signs of skin cancer, preventing skin cancer, Cancer Council, vitamin D, cancer prevention. Like, it's all about skin cancer. Because one of the biggest cancers in Australia is skin cancer. So, be safe, slip, slop, slap, sleek, and slide, and just do whatever you want. It's a big country, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to see, and there's a lot of really nice people. But I'm gonna leave this one here. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for Twitch chat, hanging out, and learning some things. Y'all get to learn some stuff. Let me know if you'd like to see more Australia lessons, because, I don't know, I feel like there's not a lot of information given about Australia that isn't just jokes or, like, general tourist advice, so let me know. But bye, YouTube. Bye.
If you're new around here, consider subscribing. I upload daily. Check out all the links in the description, I greatly appreciate it. Be sure to suggest other things you'd like to see me react to down in the comments or over on the Discord, which you can find in the description. Thank you very much to my patrons, I love you guys. Be sure to follow me on Twitch because I stream twice a week, every Wednesday and Friday, and on Sundays for reactions as well. But that's gonna do it for me. I thank you all very much for your patronage.